Welcome to the village of folk tales and fairy tales that we will bring from Africa. Like she said, my name is Miss Gwen, being a griot of African tales. With some of these tales that I will share with you, they're lessons. All African tales have lessons. So welcome. Now, I would like to share some stories with you, but I don't know if you're kind of ready for that. The reason I'm saying that is there's so many things that we are bringing from the outside, things that are happening, that sometimes we're not able to wind down. What I'm asking for you is that you start using that, which was fun for us, that imagination. My first story is titled, Fly, Eagle, Fly. Fly, eagle, fly. We already know that the eagle is like the king of the birds. We know that an eagle could stand on a branch and see 2 miles away. A female eagle is stronger than the male eagle, and the wings can just almost knock a plane down. But in this story, you're going to find something different. Fly, eagle, fly. As our African tale starts off, the farmer in the village is feeding his chicken. He's looking around for his calf, which this little boy had been walking. It's getting late, and he hasn't come back. Well, coming down the road is the little boy. He felt so sad that he lost one of the calves. The man didn't feel too bad or show that he felt bad. But the next day, after the huge storm with the thundering and the lightning, he decided to go out and look for that calf. Because in that village, things like a goat, a calf, chicken, denotes pride if you have all those things and more. When he went into the valley, cough, 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 he shouted. No calf. He went through the jungle where the weeds were up to his shoulder. Cough, 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 he shouted. No calf. Then he decided to climb up this high mountain and look down so he can kind of see if the calf is there. While he was going up, he found a baby eagle. He figured it had fallen from the nest. He grabbed it so tenderly and went down the mountain. He went back to his village via the winding river, via the weeds that were as tall as he was. Calf, calf, as a last result. No calf. When he got back to the village, guess who he saw? The calf. But in the meantime, he put down the little baby eagle to play with the rest of the chickens. Well, one day, his friend came by, sat down with him. They were both smoking a pipe. And that friend said, you know that bird over there? That's an eagle. Well, this bird, little one, had gotten huge. And the farmer said, oh no, that's a chicken. Now, the man was confused. So he took the eagle and kind of pushed him. But the eagle just walked on, and started acting like he was eating off the ground, because that is what he was used to. Well, a few weeks later, this annoyed neighbor came back, and he said, that's an eagle. It's a chicken. The neighbor said, get me a ladder. He placed the ladder up by the roof, grabbed the eagle, and proceeded to climb. When he got to the top, he let the eagle go, but he went kaplop. Now, that didn't solve his problem. It's because a couple of days later, in the heat of the night, here the neighbor came, and he said, I want to prove one more time that that's an eagle. So he asked the farmer to go and get it. Well, the farmer's kids were asleep in the kitchen and in the bedroom area of the hut. He stepped over them and got the eagle, gave it to the man, and they walked. He said, we have to hurry up because I want to have the eagle up at the top of the mountain by the time the sun rises. They went through the high jungle. They went through the winding river and finally started on the mountain. They climbed higher, high, and then looking down about 1,000 feet, the man with the eagle grabbed him and had him to look at the sun. Then he kind of turned his face. He said, you are an eagle. You are supposed to soar. Just because you are with chickens does not mean that you have to live like a chicken. You have a brain and a body to be a leader, and that is what I expect you to do. With that conversation that the neighbor had with the eagle, he had him to face the rising sun. And as the sun rose, he let the eagle fly away. That eagle went into the sunset, into the sunrise, also as the sun rose. Now, as a challenge to all of us, sometimes we get complacent. And myself included, start acting like a chicken. Can't get along with those I'm around because I'm not supposed to be there. We become complacent. We miss opportunities. But it's always somebody, somewhere, who may say that one word or do that one thing that allow us to soar. Soar and fly and fly and fly like an eagle. And that's the end of my story. Fly, eagle, fly. You have a sheet of paper in front of you or next to you. It's a song that came out some years ago. and it's titled, I Believe I Can Fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through the open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. Did a good job. Did a good job. Did a good job. Now, we got ourselves together with working on some goals and thinking how great we are. But you also have to be wise when you are making decisions in your life. Zomo, the rabbit, learned how to be wise. And I hope for you, it hasn't been that difficult. As the story starts off, some of the animals in the jungle were standing around. You had the hyena. You had the tall giraffe. You had the elephant and the zebra. They were talking about Zomo, the rabbit. Giraffe said, I haven't seen him in a long time. Hyenas start laughing. If you sing his song, you may see him. And they began to sing the song as they held shoulder to shoulder and rocked side to side. I may be short, I may be small, but I'm clever. I'm clever. I may be short, I may be small, but I'm clever. I'm clever. And then there came Zomo walking down the road singing that song. I may be short, I may be small, but I'm clever. I'm clever. Now all the animals love Zomo the rabbit. They said, what have you been doing? And he said, well, I was being clever. I've been trying to figure out why we don't see the sun at night. I've been trying to figure out what footprints walk here every day. I try to figure out how tall I am in measurement. I may be short, I may be small, but I am clever. Well, what else you want to do, rabbit? I want to be wise. Then Giraffe said, you said you want to be wise. You have to go up to the top of the mountain to see the Mountain King, and he will share with you how you can be wise. So with that, Zomo the rabbit began his climb up the mountain singing his song. I may be short, I may be small, but I'm clever. I'm clever. When he got to the top of the mountain, he saw the Mountain King. He told him what he wanted. And then the Mountain King said, I don't know. Many have tried. But you say you want to try to be wise? He said, yes. You have 3 things you need to do. Number 1, you must get the scales of the dancing fish. Number 2, you must get the milk from the wild horned cow. And number 3, you must get the tooth of the wild tiger. Zomo said as he turned around to go down the mountain. I may be short, I may be small, but I'm clever. He went back to his house to get a bow and also his drums. He went to the river where the fish was, and he began to hit the drum. It was quiet, and it got louder and louder and faster and faster and faster and faster, and here came that fish, just jumping up into the air, just a dancing and a dancing and a dancing and a dancing, twirling around, having a good time. And then the fish jumped onto the shore, danced so fast and so long that his scales fell to the ground. The fish got so embarrassed, he ran back into the waters. Zomo took his cup and filled it with the scales of the fish. Then he went to his second venture. The second venture was for him to get a wild cow, the milk from the wild cow. He found the wild cow. He went up a high tree and shouted, "Oh, wild cow, I bet you can't get me." And he turned around, and with the speed of the wild cow, running to that tree, his horns got stuck in it. Here, Zomo went down to the bottom of the tree, went to the cow, started milking the cow, singing his song. I may be short, I may be small, but I'm clever. With the bowl filled up, he went to his third venture. And the third venture was to get the tooth of the tiger. Well, he knew they were on the hill, and he knew by what time they walked down the hill. So he took the scales that he acquired and placed them strategically down the side of the hill. Then he took the milk and drizzled it all around the scales. He had already placed a large rock at the bottom of the hill. So when it was time for the tigers to leave their eating spot, the first one hit that hill and rolled down 3 times, hit his mouth, busted his mouth. The tooth flew up in the air. And I guess I should use, like the Kansas City Chiefs were able to succeed the football game. Zomo caught that tooth. He was ready. He took all 3 things up the mountain and gave it to the Mountain King. Well, the Mountain King looked at it. He was so proud of Zomo. He said, "You may be short, you may be small. You're clever. Now you are wise." Then the Mountain King looked to the bottom of the mountain and noticed that the fish, the cow, and the tiger were running up the hill. He said, "You may be short, you may be small, you're clever, you're wise, but are you fast?" And Zomo just looked at the bottom of the mountain, looked at the giant king, and proceeded down the other side. "I may be short, I may be small, but I'm clever and I am wise." And that's the end of Zomo the rabbit. Now, I already just said there are some lessons that you get from stories, African tales, all the time. And I think when I was learning them, if I came up with a tale, we didn't see a moral in that. So it wasn't an African tale, as it was said to be. So the first one was just taking opportunity to live our lives. The second African tale is in living your life, a little wisdom should come along the way. But sometimes we need to follow directions. Some people don't follow directions well, so they don't acquire what they want in life, as we all know. Some of you may remember this story, Mufaro's beautiful daughters. Well, as the sun was rising, there was a sound of the drum in the village. It went on and on and on and on. And the villagers knew that when the drum sound, they must go to the center of the village. They all sat down, and the announcer read his scroll. We want a beautiful queen for the king. Well, Mufaro, the leader, already had some beautiful daughters. Nobody thought there was any competition except for those two girls. Well, he had beautiful daughters. The oldest one, Miana, was just so mean to everybody. When the older people needed help, she would walk by them. When the younger kids wanted someone to play, she just messed up their toys and walked away. He asked both of his daughters to say goodbye because they were going to go to see the king the next day. The older one, like I said, Miana, she walked to the people and said, bye, I'm never going to see you anymore. But the younger one, Nyasha, was beautiful inside out and outside in, inside out and outside in. She shared everything with everybody. This little girl had her own garden with vegetables in it. She gathered her vegetables and took it to the villagers, shared all she had with all of them. She said, I'm going, but I hope to be back to see you one day. Well, that night, the older one decided that she was going to go and be the queen first. So Miana took the trail to the magic forest. When he got to the magic forest, there was a little boy standing there and said, help me, help me, help me. And she said, go away, little boy, go away. And just like that, he disappeared. She went a little further into the jungle, and she said, it looks kind of strange in here and dark. And all of a sudden, she saw an older lady. The older lady said, Miana, there will be some who need help. There's an older man who has his arm under his arm just like this and his head in there. Well, she said, it's not going to bother me. I want to let you know that you will see a swaying tree. And it'll make some kind of noise, but don't laugh. And you should see a fork in the road. But that fork, I'm advising you to go to the right. Miana was already mad because the lady knew her name. So she went into the jungle a little further. She saw the man with the head. He said, "Help me." She said, "Go away, go away." She saw the swaying trees. And with that making such a gorgeous, funny, crackling noise, she said, then she got to the fork in the road. Why did that lady tell me to go to the right? Everybody know to go to the right. I'm going to the left. So she went into the forest. And what did she see? She saw shrubs that had thorns on them. She saw mice running around. And then she ran until she got to the castle. Well, back there with the rest of them, it was early in the morning, and they decided to leave to go to the castle. The rest of the village decided to go with Nyasha and her father, Mufaro. They got to the magic jungle and saw a lady standing there. And she said, "Help me." And he said, "Okay." And she gave her a sweet potato. Then she went a little further and saw the other lady, the older lady, who said, "You will find a man with his head in his arm. And you will also see the swaying trees. Do not laugh. You will see the fork in the road. Go to the right." Well, she gave the lady some food. She went a little further and saw the man with the head in the arms. She took it and put it on his shoulders and gave him some food. Then she went a little further. Oh, that tree. She looked at it. She said, "It's kind of funny," and walked on to the fork of the road. She went to the right, just like she was told. She saw beautiful flowers, roses, daffodils, beautiful shrubs, grass that was just so nice and beautiful. She saw, all of a sudden, her sister running towards her with her hair to the side. There was weeds in her hair. And the sister said, "There is a snake in there. There's a snake." Well, Nyasha, it didn't bother her. She liked animals and insects and all reptiles and everything. She went inside. She saw this snake, which lived in her garden. She said, "What you doing here?" And she petted the snake. And it was the king. The king was so happy to see her. He said, "You're the type of person I want for my wife. You're beautiful outside in and inside out. I noticed how you helped the neighbors and gave them some fruit and vegetables. I noticed how you helped the old lady in the jungle. You helped the man. You followed directions, didn't laugh with the swaying tree. You went to the right just as you was told. You will be my queen." Well, it wasn't long that Mufaro finally got there where the king was. He agreed for the marriage. And they sat down and had food. They danced. They told stories. Now, after the marriage, her older sister stood on the side and looked at Nyasha and said, everybody like her. She is so nice to everybody, and they are helping her. This is the type of person I want to be. She walked up to her sister and she told her, let's every first Saturday in the month, let us gather all the little girls and teach them how to be beautiful inside out and outside in. Inside out and outside in. And that's the story of Mufaro's beautiful, beautiful daughters. Now, there's a lesson there, following directions. Any other things you hear? Following directions, being kind to people. You never know what blessings or good things will come to you. And it always pays to be kind. Well, that segues into another story. But in the meantime, make yourself a little relaxed in where you're sitting. The name of this story is The Boy Named Ed. Well, this crocodile was sitting by the water. As he was sitting there, he was looking at his webbed feet. It was hurting. He injured it not too long ago. He wanted to get to the middle of the waters, but his foot was not allowing him to do so. The day proceeded, and all of a sudden, he heard this sound. He heard a sound from a neighboring village. This village was called the Village of Kindness. As the sound got louder and louder, he sat and noticed the words in the sound. We come from the Village of Kindness. We help whenever we can. There's no reward for what we do. We do it because we can. We come from the Village of Kindness. We help wherever we can. There's no reward for what we do. We do it because we can. Now, in that village, the boy named Ed, Mom had told him that she wanted him to go into the jungle to get some branches so she could make a fire. Well, Ed followed directions of his mom and went deep into the jungle. He passed by some hanging vines. He also saw some branches that were laid around. But being like a little boy who is so curious about things, he started walking further into the jungle. Before long, he was by the waters where the crocodile was. When he started talking to him, he noticed that the crocodile's foot was messed up. Immediately, Ed went back into the jungle, picked up some vines, picked up some branches, and prepared to make a cot. He dragged that cot out of the jungle. He placed the crocodile on it, and he lifted that crocodile and took him into the water. The crocodile said, "You just took me halfway. I need you to take me into the middle of the water." It said, "Okay." And with this heavy load, he took the crocodile into the middle of the water. Well, when it was ready to turn around and go back to do what his mom had told him, he felt a pain on his arm. He kind of moved his arm and wouldn't move. He turned around and noticed that it was the mouth of the crocodile. He said, "Why are you doing this? I have pain. It hurts." The crocodile said, "I'm hungry. It's lunchtime." He said, "Oh, but I just finished doing good. Bad doesn't come with doing good." He said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime." So the two of them went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then Crocodile came up with the idea. 3 animals are going to pass by. Hopefully, they will say that good comes from good. If we can't get 3, you are my lunch. Now, the first one was a horse. They said, "Horse, talk to us. Tell us that bad can come after good." Horse thought, and he said, you know, bad can come from good. I achieved all these trophies for my master. You can look in the living room, dining room, and even the den. My trophies that I earned are there. But will they brush my coat now? No. Bad comes from good. He went on. It wasn't long till the cow came. And the cow gave his idea of what he has been doing after they asked him, does good comes from bad or bad comes from good? He said, there were 5 kids in that family, and I gave milk to all 5 of them. But now they won't let me out into the pasture. Yes, bad can come from good. It was worried because if the next animal walked by and said the same thing, he would be lunch for the crocodile. All of a sudden, a rabbit came bouncing along. Rabbit looked at it. He said, he looks familiar. He looked at the crocodile. Now, it took the time to explain everything. I was walking through the jungle, and then I saw the crocodile. And I went and found the crocodile's foot was hurting. So I went and fixed the cot. I put the crocodile on the cot. It was heavy, but I placed it on my shoulder. I went halfway through the river, but he wanted me to go all the way with this heavy cot. I took him there. Now he wants me for lunch. I say, good comes from good. Bad does not come from good. Rabbit stood there, and he thought, and he thought, and he thought. He said, you know, there are some people who have not had good done for them too often, and they do not recognize good when it's done to them. Go back home to the village of kindness, where people are kind just because they woke up in the morning. They are kind and they will help people. That's what you're used to. Crocodile is not used to it. But this one thing may, down the road, help him to be a better crocodile. Go back home to the village of kindness. Crocodile, you get back in the water and you do the best that you can. And with that, kindness, you know, even in our everyday life, when we do good, a lot of times good come back. Sometimes it doesn't, because that other person or other thing does not recognize kindness. But when we can see in a positive moment and see the good, good sometimes outweigh the bad. And that's the end of my story. Oh, let me see how much time I have. Okay. I would like to end with this story. It's not an African tale. However, it's one of my favorites that I have about friendship. I want to ask you first, what does a security guard do?
Keeps you safe.
Keeps you safe. Yeah, that's a good answer. Now, this security guard worked in the children's hospital. He would go door to door, look in, close the door. He would go to another door, look in to make sure the child was safe. Look in and close it back up. Well, the security guard noticed that there was a light coming from one of the doors. He was concerned. He opened the door, walked in, and noticed that there was a light coming from the window. He walked to the window, let the shade up, opened the window, and he noticed that a little boy was standing down below that window with a mirror in his hand. He said, "A mirror in your hand? Why do you have that?" And the little boy said, "I don't know, I'm just holding it." "What are you doing?" "Nothing." Now, typical answer. So the security guard let the shade down, tiptoed out of the room. He closed the door and ran as fast as he could down the steps, down through the lobby, out the front door, and around the corner where he saw this little boy. He asked him again, "What are you doing?" He said, "Nothing." He said, "I see you with a mirror." He said, "Yes." And I noticed that the sunshine is reflected into the mirror, and it goes into the second floor window of the hospital where I noticed that little boy was in. He said, "Yes." He said, "Why are you doing this?" He said, "I'm trying to bring sunshine into my friend's life." With that old song, winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. You've got a friend. Now, with all these stories combined, it was friendship, it was following directions, it was the story about the eagle, and just being helpful to everybody. You may remember, I almost forgot, Zomo, of being brave. And all those things can take us into life. When we can share with our kids and our grandkids about just the particular things within life. All I did was brought it through African tales, but they all can be found in books. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And all I ask is that you, when you leave here, challenge yourself with opportunities. However, share something that you heard here with others so they can have some of the, you gave claps and you were smiling, so they can have smiles just like you. You may want to use the song to tell that eagle story, the eagle and the chicken. You may want to use an example about being wise. Are you a problem solver? And use that. You may want to use about it and go and tell about kindness and so many things that we see in life is through books. Thank you very much.